A very warm welcome to the Good Practice Power Hour webinar. It's your chance to hear pockets of good practice from across the Good Employment Charter network. I know that there are some supporters and members on this call, but there are also some people joining us who may not be engaged with the Charter. So the Good Employment Charter is one of the Mayor of Manchester's initiatives to elevate employment standards in the region. And today we are joined by two of our employers who are going to share some of their good practice around health and wellbeing and people management. So this is our agenda for today. Let me move the slides along. There'll be some housekeeping in relation to Zoom. So this webinar is recorded. There's a chat function, so please do connect with the attendees, introduce yourselves. There's also a question and answer function, so please do pop your questions in there because sometimes we might miss them in the chat. We would ask you to please keep your microphones muted unless you are asking a question, and there's a reaction button as well that you can use at any time when people are speaking. The agenda for today, first of all, we will hear from Nicola Ryan and Donald Moore from One+All, who are going to be sharing some of their practice around financial wellbeing. And then we're going to be hearing from Jo Bohan and Louise Brown from Wigan and Leigh College, who are going to be sharing some of their good practice around people management. So what we'll do is we'll hear from all of our speakers and then we'll have Q&As at the end. So on that note, that's all from me. I'm going to hand over to Nick and Donald from One+All. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So my name's Donald, I work for One+All, and I'm joined by my colleague Nick, who is Director of People Support. And our slides, which look as if they've been done by a 10-year-old, is called 9 Steps to Financial Wellbeing. The good news is that I'm doing the first 3, and because Nick is twice as important, she's doing the next 6. And if you can wait for hers, because hers will be much more interesting. So we'll make a start then. So on financial well-being, I suppose 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 children in Great Manchester are living in poverty, and half of them have got working parent or parents. So as employers, we've got a responsibility to think about what impacts low pay has. So the first thing that we should be doing as charter members and supporters is pay the real living wage, because it makes a massive difference. There's about maybe 1 in 7, 1 in 8 workers in Great Manchester paid below the real living wage. More than half are female. Much more likely to be Black or Asian. Obviously, that's too many workers on low pay, and we need to think about living hours as well, because there's too much insecure work, 0-hour contracts. In some ways, that's more important than paying the real living wage, because how can a family budget if they don't know if they're going to be working or not? So the first step is pay the real living wage, and can you make work secure? That's step 1. And step 2 is something that we've been doing for about 12 years. So we were concerned actually about the number of payday lenders. As I walked through the town centre then, it seemed like every other shop was like Cash G or some sort of payday lending, and we thought we couldn't bear it if any of our colleagues were going to a payday lender. And you go to a payday lender for those unprepared, unexpected events, which are beyond the reach of lots of people. So at the time, half the country would struggle with an unexpected bill of 500 quid or more. These days, it's like 2/3 of the working population would struggle if it was like 100 quid. So we decided to do interest-free loans. The stuff that goes wrong, what if your fridge breaks or your car's broke down or you need something desperate? And for us, that was pretty easy to do at the time. Interest rates were really low anyway, and obviously payday lenders and loan sharks are charging so much more. So it would be good to think about the impacts that crisis loans have had. At our peak, we had I think 8 of our 60 people who were paying back some sort of loan or another. There were times like when the cost of living crisis started where we didn't have any, which was like brilliant, really. So I think that's something for us to think about. We took it a few steps forward in talking to people. We found out somebody was in severe gambling debt, so we managed to sort them out and consolidate loans and that sort of thing. So just think about the impacts that a crisis loan could have, really. And that moves us on to step 3, which is money management. What I should have said on the crisis loans is, so one day we had somebody working with us in his first week, and he was struggling with like bus fares and buses not turning up. So I said to Nick, let's just sort him out with a bike. Let's just give him some money for a bike, and then he'll be all right. Anyway, he didn't turn up the following Monday, and we've never seen him since. So maybe these things take a bit more thought. So one of the things is that for lots of people, they're never really taught how to budget. You're not taught it at school, but that's one of the big things we all encounter after we left school. And because we have done money management as part of granting any sort of crisis loan, no matter how much it is, people tell us about their spending. We try to help them about it. And I remember in one case, somebody was like overdrawn every month, and it was always the same time. So we said to him, just have a think. Do you need all these Sky streaming things that you're buying? You know, you're paying like 120 quid a month. If you cut those down a bit, you wouldn't be in overdraft anymore. And he sort of went, oh yeah, I get you. And since then, he's never been overdrawn. So it just shows you, things that people just don't check those sort of things. So we encourage people to watch Martin Lewis, to go on his website, to look at comparison sites, to go through all the bills. Often in the cost of living crisis, we said to people should check about their benefits and council tax, because there's £15 billion a year in unclaimed benefits in the UK. One nice tip is if you use cash for a few weeks rather than card, you'll suddenly find out that you're spending less. So I think Nick's going to talk about money management. So I've done my 3 steps. The next 6 are going to be done so much better by Nick.
Hi, everybody. I'm still getting over the 10-year-old comment. As you can probably tell, I wasn't expecting that. So one of the things that I feel really proud of about our business is we have very much got this culture where it is really natural for colleagues to talk to each other and to leadership about really anything. And I know we're focused on financial well-being here today, but I think it's a culture of people feeling really safe and really comfortable as who they are, to talk about the things that are affecting their lives. So it's very natural for people to talk to their leads about their life, and very natural for a lead or myself to say, how are you managing that? How's that impacting you? And I think that's really important in terms of opening up that dialogue. And actually, what we found has kind of grown from that is that colleagues now talk to each other as well about those things. So it's no longer just a colleague lead relationship. It's really organic in the business that people talk to each other and share tips and offer advice, and I feel very proud about that. I think it helps. We've got quite a diverse leadership team, and there are enough in the team that have experienced money worries and and grown up in such a way that they have an understanding of these issues. I think that's something to be proud of. And it's really helped us to kind of lead some support for our colleagues, such as we've done finance and money management like online training through HSBC. We've done one-to-one money management, as Donald mentioned. And we've also done some additional support based on these really open conversations. Like when we needed to, we offered like no questions asked shopping vouchers to colleagues as well who needed them. So that takes us on to step 5. And we strongly recommend that people work with the credit union, some way for colleagues to save. We started working with the credit union quite a few years ago now. And what we found is it's a great way for colleagues to save. And they save in such a way that, I think colleagues tell me that it's really beneficial because you can't see it so easy. And it's, you've got this little pocket of rainy day money that's really helpful to you. It's a great way to save confidentially as well. So we found that, if someone's experiencing domestic abuse, it can be quite helpful to save in a way that's confidential and that others can't see you doing. And it's also great because the credit union can often support those colleagues who we aren't able to help with crisis loans. So we can help people a lot and we can do a lot for colleagues, but sometimes there are people that need a bit more support and a bit more specialist support, and having a relationship with the credit union is a great way for us to be able to offer that externally as well. So step 6 then, guys. And I think this one was really important, especially at the height of the cost of living crisis when things were really difficult. Looks like
sorry, I'm trying to move the slide along.
Worry. I'll keep talking, don't worry. So we have done a confidential survey with colleagues and we've asked about all these things on here. So we asked about money anxiety. We asked if colleagues were on prepaid energy meters. We asked how they felt, like how worried they were about their ability to cope financially the year ahead. We asked them if they were looking for a second job or a higher paid job. And I think, because we really wanted to understand these things, we're not afraid of these answers. We're really keen to understand the truth of how colleagues are coping, because actually by understanding that, we can do something to help. So we found that colleagues were on prepaid meters and were often paying more because of that. We found that colleagues wanted help doing money management, which is why we then, did some of the stuff with HSBC online and offered more one-to-one support. And doing that survey just really enlightened us into some of the challenges that colleagues were facing and helped us to kind of tailor the support and the resources that we're offering. And if you're interested, actually, you can still download our survey questions from the Good Employment Charter website. It's in blogs, and there's one that we've put in there. So do take a look, because we would love, if those questions help other businesses, we would love for you to use those. Step 7 then, please. So I think we've touched on step 7 already, but it's about an open door for difficult conversations. So I know this is about financial well-being, but for us, it's everything. We constantly remind our colleagues of all the different avenues and different ways that they can talk to someone if they've got anything that they need to talk to somebody about, whether that's their lead, whether it's colleague support, whether it's the MD, even Donald, believe it or not, people even want to talk to you, don't they, Donald, about some of these things. And it's really lovely. So I think another thing we feel so proud of is this thing about open door culture. It really truly exists, and people can go to whoever they feel comfortable talking to and be guaranteed that someone will help them, whether that's signposting or internal support. And people really do tell us about everything. I feel really privileged, actually, and that we've created this environment where people just feel comfortable with who they are and able to talk to those that they trust. Step 8 then, please. So these are some of the other things that we do that we've been able to do quite easily and practically as an organisation like ours. So we pay full auto enrolment. So colleagues do not have to contribute to auto enrolment unless they can afford to. We encourage them quite a lot to contribute to that if they can, to contribute to their pension. We know it's really important. But when auto enrolment came in and was impacting our business, we recognised that would see a reduction in colleagues' take-home pay. And we just felt that when money's tight, that's really difficult for people, and wanted to give people a choice in that. So, like I said, we encourage them to pay more if they can, but we're really proud that we can cover both of those. A healthcare cash plan as well is really useful. So we have a healthcare cash plan, and really interestingly, we got some stats on this recently and found that our colleagues were claiming 130% of our premiums. We've seen a price increase because of that, but for us, it was a no-brainer to do that, because it shows that colleagues value it and that they're really using it. And another worry of ours as we're struggling in cost of living is that if you're short of money, you know, we all know, especially, you know, as a member of our families, that if we're struggling for money, some of the first things that we start to drop are the things that are about our own health and well-being. And we didn't want that for any of our colleagues. So our healthcare cash plan is amazing. Colleagues can claim back dentists, opticians. It is taxed as a benefit in kind, but our colleagues are really using it, and you know, and are aware of that, and are using it really well, and we're dead pleased. It also comes with an employee assistance program, so colleagues can access counselling, financial support, general support, a GP helpline. It's really, really a great benefit actually, that's really well used. And then next slide, please. So this is about seeing the difference. So we feel that actually all of these things that we've talked about today are not woolly, fluffy well-being interventions. They are commercial, because we really see the difference in how our business and our colleagues perform. We've had colleagues as well that have said to us they'll never leave, that they're so grateful about the support that we give them, of how they feel about the business. They can focus on their jobs and in delivering great service, and we really do deliver great service. And to give you an example of how that transpires, we have a reward scheme that is linked to the achievement of our customer satisfaction scores. So every year after our busy period, we send out a survey to our customers to ask them how we've performed on service, on product availability, quality, and we link extra holidays to these results. And we've just recently announced that on top of our holiday entitlement, every single colleague in our business next year will receive an extra week of holidays, because our customer satisfaction scores were so impressive, and our customers really valued that service. So we see the results. We see the results in customer loyalty, in profit, in business success, and so it's an investment, and it's a really, really good one.
I suppose what I wanted to finish off with, and I forgot to put it on the slide, so it's my fault, is so in our business there's like nearly 70 of us. Over half are in traditionally lower paid jobs like warehouse and shop floor. The better we do, the more profit we make, and the more profit we make, the more we can share. And last year was particularly difficult for everyone, and our minimum profit share for each person was 3.5 grand. And because we're employee owned, it was tax free. So in and amongst all the great things that we do, the thing that made most difference actually wasn't on the slide, and that's profit share. And we pay 80% early December, because that's when they need it. So currently everyone's really happy at work for once. That's it, Alexia. Thank you.
Thank you. They're always happy at your work, Donald. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, you've got some fantastic practices there, and it's clear that they have such a huge impact on your employees. So I'm now going to hand over to Jo and Louise from Wigan and Leigh College, who are going to tell us a bit about their people management practice. So over to you two. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexia. Can everybody hear me okay? Yep.
Yeah, all good.
So just introduce myself. My colleague Jo Bohan, head of HR, is on the call as well, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some questions and things later on. We were talking about people management, but we've really focused this around leadership, because here at Wigan and Leigh College, we sort of believe we stand and fall on that. So I'm really going to focus around cultural leadership. There's lots of styles: inspirational, charismatic, I'm looking at Donald there, transformational, inspirational, lots and lots of things, but I'm really going to focus on that because we believe that's had a real impact on our business. So if we just have the next slide, please. Thank you. So just really giving a bit of background. I know quite a few people might have come across us because we've been working with the Charter for a number of years now, but for those of you that don't, my name's Louise Brown. I'm Vice Principal Corporate Services at Wigan and Leigh College. So we're a large FE college in the Northwest. We've got over 9,000 students and 700 plus staff made up of full-time, part-time, working across our business. My portfolio of corporate services includes human resources, the people strategy and organisational development, but I also manage much more widely, estates, resource management, capital projects, health and safety, safeguarding lead, lots and lots of things. So it's a really busy job. And as I said, I've got Jo Bohan, our head of HR, who has really spearheaded a lot of the work that we've done around engagements, particularly with on the ground with her team there. Just as a bit of background, I was very humbled to be awarded the Greater Manchester Good Employment Leader of the Year award earlier this year, and as you know, following on that, lots of people have been wanting to talk to me about leadership, so I've really focused in on there. And a little bit more about me: we do lots of charity fundraising. I can actually run a sub-hour 10k, which I'm very, very proud of. It took some doing, but really about us and community and what we're about here at Wigan and Leigh. So could I have the next slide, please, Alexia? Thank you. So we've had a real focus on cultural leadership, and just to recap for anybody that isn't as familiar around that, but cultural leadership is really built around valuing the importance of your people really in your organisation, and looking and seeking to understand them, appreciate the benefits of each individual and connecting on that individual level. As cultural leaders, we've really developed our college management team to focus in on that and build the skills around being and understanding what a cultural leader is. We've tried to create environments where individuals feel valued, respected, and bringing in that shared ownership, you know, that strength in us as a group here to drive forward towards our collective goals here as an organisation, as a college, and we're a real values-driven organisation. One of the big strands of that has been around employee voice, and how we've led and managed that across our business to give us some real tangible bottom line business results and benefits, which I'll talk to you about a little bit further on in the slides. But cultural leadership, I believe, is a great fit for any organisation that's looking to implement change, lead change, and really create that shared inclusive vision and a truly inspiring workplace for people to want to work in. I think cultural leaders have to be really skilled. They've got to be able to connect on that personal level, and some of these sort of key behaviours and traits of people come more naturally to some people than others, and that's why as leaders, I think if you can instill this and inspire that within your managers, because there is a big difference between leading and managing, it really can make a massive difference to an organisation. Authenticity as a leader, I believe personally, is really important. And again, I'll talk on a slide a bit further on about somebody that I think is a great example of what an authentic leader can really achieve. Can we move on to the next slide, please, Alexia? Thank you very much. So, hand in hand with cultural leadership is adaptive leadership, and I've just included this this slide really because it's often something that quite a few people have not come across. It really involves the ability to respond effectively to change and periods of uncertainty, and goodness me, have we had that in bucket loads over the last 2 to 3 years with COVID, cost of living crisis, and you know some of the response to that Donald and Nick have just set out there. But we've got skills crisis. We can't find the right skilled people. We've got a whole different cultural approach to work and what work is around hybrid working and things like that. So it is something, if you are interested in leadership, I'd strongly encourage you to just do a little bit more reading around it. It's based very much around a metaphor really, linked to balcony and dance floor, and adaptive leadership emphasises that flexibility, that open-mindedness and capacity to be able to lead and adjust really through really changing and diverse times. So the dance floor, as you probably expect, represents that immediate day-to-day activity, that operational elements of a role that leaders, no doubt, the majority of people on this call face absolutely day in, day out. That's really where the action happens. But on the other hand, the balcony, which is just as important, is that metaphorical space where you sort of step back, step up and observe and gain that pretty much that broader perspective on the situation. So really skilled adaptive leaders involve being able to skillfully move between that balcony and dance floor, being engaged and hands-on when needed, but also taking a strategic and more reflective stance and really looking at that bigger picture. So it is about that dynamic dance between the balcony and dance floor that enables leaders to effectively navigate through really complex and particularly leading through change. So that's just something there that is, for me, it was a really interesting concept when I came across this a number of years ago, and something that we've worked on here as a college with our management team. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So just really quickly here, I think everybody will probably recognise Jacinta Ardern. So she was the New Zealand Prime Minister that led through COVID, one of the youngest female heads of government. I think she was 37 when she took up that post. You know, is that actually, it talks about that saved possibly 80,000 lives during COVID in the way that she led and managed through that period of time. There's an article there. I know these are going to be shared, and it's worth reading that article because it does talk about how she prioritised a lot of the behaviours and traits of cultural leadership, balancing that with her own personal challenges there. And demonstrated some real strong and what I feel great standards of leadership. And one of the things she often talks about is about the decent traits of human beings should be the decent traits of leaders. And so often, you know, there's examples where that's not the case. And I think that's something that we've tried to really build on at the college, around that authenticity of leaders and being very humbled by being in a position that we've got the opportunity to influence and lead people and ultimately change lives, because that's what we do here. And she talks about the most important leadership principles can be found in what we teach our children, the qualities of empathy, curiosity, bravery and kindness, really. It's okay.
Sorry.
Am I talking too much, Alexia?
No, I'm pressing the wrong things. Apologies. Right. Oh,
it's okay. We're fine. We'll click on there to this really. So this is talking about our starting point. So that's something around our beliefs, how we've led and worked hard on that cultural leadership side of things. And really what I'm going to show now is put my money where my mouth is and the impact of that as we have moved through as an organisation. So the college has been through quite a period of cultural change, probably since 2014 really was a real stepping on period to make that transformation. FE College, limited funding. For a number of years, there'd been a lack of investment in the college, and it had really struggled both on a quality and a financial and performance level. Relatively low engagement of staff there, and you know, something needed to set about. I described it as turning the tanker around, and we set about that. So this has been a journey for us for quite a few years, and in the middle of that we've had COVID as well, which was a massive challenge for us, as it was for many other individuals and organisations. But we've set about starting and we set about building that community, because it was built on that community of trust and value. We have the next slide, please. Okay, so I mentioned just a little bit earlier on about the employee voice, and that really was one of the central pillars that we set about for that cultural change and building that trust when we were leading our people. And some of the elements of this won't be surprising for you really, but have really had some standout features and helped us sort of as a catalyst to really move things forward at a pace. So focus groups that we have, and I know lots of organisations have these in a variety of guises, but you know, we really stuck about that, and we led them from the top. So it's the principal and myself that went out across every site with a group, a cross section of staff, no managers in there, just staff. We sat there and we said, tell us what it's like to work here. Yeah, tell us what might be nice, but we're more interested in what drives you mad. What, you know, is it at the pit of your stomach as you're coming in the morning, and what possibly can we do about that? And, you know, lots and lots of things have come out of that. At first, there were very quiet groups. Goodness me, when we have them now, because we still do them now, you can't shut people up, not that you want to shut them up, but they're so engaged in it. And you know what, we've had some superb ideas and creativity that have come out of that have made a massive difference. And you know what, there'll be things that people come forward and we just can't do, but we're honest and we tell them why we can't do that, but we also try and think our best, is there any way that we can just ease that for whatever it might be. You know, so there's lots and lots of outputs of that have made a massive difference. I think somebody's got IT issues. So following that, we do a You Said We go out with quite a big promotion widely across the organisation, so everybody gets to hear about this, not just the cross section of people involved in the groups, because clearly we've got big staff numbers, so you do rely on information being cascaded out. So there's a real strong comms message around that. We do our staff surveys, the traditional biennial survey, which I'll talk to you about some of the results of that in a minute. But we also bought into an app called Stripe. This has again been fundamental for us in enabling us to reach out, do those pulse surveys, those very quick, short, punchy surveys, gathering that information, acting as an anonymous sort of suggestion box, complaint, comment, whatever, that direct feedback loop. And also, we had just launched it before COVID. That was a massive help for us to help us keep connected to this really dispersed workforce. You can do shout outs, positive things, links to our reward and recognition strategy. So I'd strongly encourage if anybody to, you know, have a look at that if you're looking at something to really help you with that employee voice strand of your engagement strategy. We have the next slide, please. So the impact of that, lots of measures, but I've just put a few here. So the staff survey I talked about way back, you know, sort of 2014 time, we had about 36% of the organisation engaging with the survey. And that was despite sitting down with them, giving them time, trying to do that. People just did not want to know. Now, the one we've just done in the summer has reached the dizzy heights of 82%, which probably in my HR career never expected to see. We have used Stripe as our mechanism for participating in it, and because it's an app and it can be used on people's phones and things like that, I think that has been a real strength in us getting those engagement levels up, which you want to get them to the absolute maximum to make sure you're getting that true representation across the college. Attrition rates, as many organisations, but particularly the FE sector, has really struggled to recruit and retain skills, particularly because of some of the salaries that are being offered out there in industry. We need industry experts, but we can't compete with the big giants of BAE and things like that for engineers, and it's such a challenge. But part of our whole approach to engagement leadership has enabled us, I believe, to hold on to our staff and also attract staff to come and work for us because we believe we are a great place to work and offering, you know, that rounded employee experience. So we're about 10 percentage marks below the sector benchmark for that. And that's also saving us lots of money, because we all know how expensive it is to recruit and onboard somebody. So that has really had a major impact on our bottom line, both financially, but from a quality perspective of what we're doing and the teaching and learning that's going on in the classrooms. Student numbers have risen. If we just flip back a sec, sorry, Alexia.
Sorry.
Student numbers have risen during this period by over 1,000. So like I said at the start, we're over 9,000 students now. Now that's practically unheard of unless a college is merged with another existing established college. That sort of growth in numbers. And obviously that brings with it significant financial income, because we get paid per student. So, you know, over the last 5 years, we've grown by a funding income by 12 million pounds. So we're up at a 40 million pound income there. So I just thought I'd use some metrics there to say, look, you know, it does have massive impact on the bottom line. And next slide, please, Alexia. Brilliant, thank you very much. So some staff survey results there, just picked a few of them off the set questions, because we link and we benchmark across the sector so that we've got some direct comparisons, you know, but there's some really high numbers there about job security, our reputation as a college, and the one that really is a standout one for me, makes me super proud, is being that people feel proud to be a member of our team here at Wigan and Leigh College. But you know, they're significant levels when you take the fact that we've had an 82% across the college body response rate. So it's really comforting for us, and very proud for us to be receiving those sorts of metrics. Next slide, please, Alexia. So really the final two slides are just back about me. I have spearheaded that cultural leadership. I'm lucky enough to sit on the executive team here, and you do have to have that buy-in, I believe, at that senior level. And some of the mantras that I hold and like this: be bold, be brave, be wise, because do you know what? You have to be bold in your decisions. You have to be brave at times. It is difficult out there. We're all balancing, you know, financial stability with lots and lots of other things, and you know, that will to look after our staff. You know, that's central to what I believe. And you know, these types of things, we go out there, and it is very wise words by Einstein: a clever person solves a problem, but a wise one avoids it. And that's what we try to instill in our leaders and managers. I think with just one more slide, Alexia, and this is just a bit of an example of what we've been doing here. We do a lot of community work. I get dragged running around the streets of Wigan on a regular basis. We do things around sustainability. We support the hospice, you know, some really important local charities and partner an awful lot. But that has been central in building all what we have done around that community feel for the college, and taking us to, I believe, another level there. So that's a little bit about us, and what we think has been a massive impact around leadership and managing our people.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Yeah, that was really informative, and it's great to see the charter linking in with your presentation. Apologies for my slide skills. I will probably get to my P45 later, but I'll just move on to the slide. So now we'd love to open it up to our attendees to ask some questions. I know I've certainly got some been sent to me for both of our speakers, but I'll let you ask them first if there's any questions in the chat, or if not, I will ask them. No problem. Right. I'm going to ask a question for Donald and Nick. So do you have an actual written financial wellbeing policy?
No, not really. We have some, so we have some basic standards that we adhere to, but I think what we found in our business is everybody's life and everybody's circumstances are really different, and so the tailored support that they need is really different as well. So I suppose really it's in our leadership team who we ask to listen and understand what it is they're hearing from their colleagues and support accordingly, and that can be quite different.
Fantastic. And now a question for Jo and Louise. So how did your leadership style change from kind of say 2019 up to 2023? Because obviously you were leading whilst the workforce was remote as well. So that must have presented its own challenges.
Jo, do you want to do, or do you want me to take this one?
You can take that one. I can butt in as I can.
I think that there has been a journey in leadership because, you know, back to the adaptive leadership and the balcony dance floor, I think when the college had sort of lost its way a little, there did have to be some, I don't want to say autocratic leadership, but there had to be that strength there and that ensurety of some basic compliance, if I put it quite bluntly, around some elements, and really for people to buy into what we were wanting to do here. We're a values-driven organisation. We're here to change the lives of our students, our young people, and we're in a very, very privileged position. You know, we viewed it as we're just proud custodians of this great organisation for a period of time. Now, if people weren't buying into that, and all that brings with it, well, there were some difficult conversations. We did part company with some people right at that start, and that was really important to set out our values, our vision, and take us forward. And then as you start to build that strength in your people that are buying into that vision, you know, some of the behaviours that we believe are the right thing to take an organisation forward and be successful, then that evolves and develops. But I think initially you've got to sort of step into, there's some levers that have to be pulled to get your baseline right, and we had to do that in the early stages. But now, you know, that's grown and developed, and you know, the engagement that we have now, and people who hear about us and want to come and work for us and already know an awful lot about us, that, you know, if you go to work at Wigan and Leigh, this is what you can sort of expect. And the charter has been fundamental in that, in helping us set out that, you know, you want to work for a great place where you'll be treated properly, you'll be treated fairly. You know, you'll have to do a hard day's work because we're grafters here at Wigan and Leigh College. You've got to be in FE, but you know, if that's what you want to do, come on board here, because there won't be a more fulfilling college, I don't believe, in the country, that will help you satisfy that.
And I think we're seeing that with recruitment directly. So being involved in interviews, knowing what feedback we're getting from people. The questions that people are now asking as part of a recruitment process are really different than they were sort of 4 or 5 years ago. They want to know about all these things that we're all talking about today, and the things that we try to put in place to support people. That's what they want. The last question is often salary, which I think has tipped completely from where we were a number of years ago. And that is from the change that we've made. I can see my colleagues, Nick and Donald, both nodding as well. It's a similar process of thing that you go through. And we know that those interviews are influenced. People come to us and say, I've read about this that you do, I've seen this that you've done, and making sure that community is publicised, and we're making sure that's maintained is really important for not only the staff that we've got that we want to keep because they're brilliant, but those brilliant staff that we want to come to join us as well, to make sure our students are getting the best from us moving forward.
Excellent, thank you. I've just got one more question, then I'll ask Donald and Nick one question. In terms of your line management and kind of how you train line managers, can you just tell us a bit about how you instill the kind of same ethos in the line managers as you both have? That leadership style.
Louise?
Whichever will, yeah.
Yeah, again, you can butt in with me. It's a process from day one. So this may sound like a really silly thing to say, but the most important thing is to be in touch from the start. I think with any employee, if you recruit somebody and they don't start for 2 months, you lose it. So our managers make sure that that's done. We do that with our new managers, start introducing information about the organisation and what they'll be doing, how it's set up. It's done throughout the induction process, but we do have a really strong CMT team, so our college management team, who work together and rely on each other for that culture, and we do a lot of training with them. There's a meeting this afternoon, so we have focused training around certain things at certain times of year, and then in the summer we have focus days where we take them out of the very busy FE environment and make sure that we're looking at the year to come, the year that's been, and that focus training. We get specific leadership training during that time that's developed by the exec team, some members of the college management team, and then external speakers that really makes a difference to how we're focusing on the new year. We give them a book to read over the summer, which they all love. We choose a title every year, and they get the summer reading to go away and have a look at on the beach. But it's introducing those new ideas. Think about this a little bit differently. How about this? What about this? And it keeps them moving and keeps them pushing on to do something different. Is that fair to say, Louise?
Yeah, I think the only other thing to add there is that, ultimately coaching plays a really big part in how we build and develop our managers, and that for me there's a real difference between training and which is really important, because if you don't provide the core skills and toolbox for a manager, they're going to really struggle. So that is important, but taking them to that next level, and particularly around that cultural leadership, we sort of adopt very much a coaching approach with a number of managers, particularly as we're getting up the sort of senior level. Then they can cascade that and coach within their teams as well. So we believe in that, and also for newer managers who come on board, we have a mentoring program, so they're all allocated a specific mentor as somebody who's not connected with them in the organization, that's across maybe business support manager with a academic manager, to make sure that they've got that different way of knitting it in like that. But yeah, coaching is a real important strand of our leadership development.
Excellent, thank you. And just one final question for Nick and Donald. So how do you empower your managers to have those kind of quite difficult conversations around kind of financial well-being? Because sometimes employees don't really always want to say what they're going through.
I think it's a long game. Most definitely, it's about culture actually, and building this culture of we mentioned before, of people feeling really safe. So we have some core values that are really important to our business, and they are trust, care, and be better. And I think if you are showing care for your colleagues, then you'll show an interest in them anyway, like their whole life and their work and them as a person. And I think that definitely lends itself so well to then feeling comfortable and having those conversations, and builds really high levels of trust. So it's not always easy, and sometimes leads will seek advice, and pretty much like Louise said, really very much a coaching culture, that if ever that's challenging, then we can offer support to hold those conversations. But I just find if you're prepared to listen, and you haven't always got the solutions, but prepared to listen and offer help or signposting, or and show that you really care, it will earn you such a lot of respect, and it builds from there, really.
Excellent, fantastic. That's lovely. So I don't think we've got any more questions that I can see. We will be sending the slides out to you afterwards, and please do connect with our speakers on LinkedIn. But thank you so much for attending today and for speaking and sharing all that good practice. Peer-to-peer learning is such a crucial element of an employer's journey at the Charter, and we can only do it because of the kindness of employers like you who are willing to share. So thank you everyone for attending, and we'll be in touch with you again very soon. Please keep a lookout for our future events in 2024, and we will look forward to seeing you in the new year. Thank you.